start out with wood blanks. You basically get the width and length that you're going to be using for a specific key. The deeper the tone, the longer the piece. And then at that point you start making the channels, gouging them out. This will be for the bore, the sound bore, and the what we call the slow air chamber, which is the first portion here. This part right here will be divided by a hard plug that separates the two chambers, at which point you'll have these holes. This is a sound hole and a blowhole, and they will channel the air up under a totem to make it sound into the bore. But you gouge these out with gouges until you get to the bore size that you're looking for. And I have different length and different diameter plugs that I use for gauges to establish what size I want for the particular key I'm looking for. And then once you get that done, you go ahead and put in these two holes in the sides, and then you glue them together. And after the glue dries, about 24 hours, you'll have one that looks pretty well similar to this. And then you just start carving down I usually go with the outside corner edges and work down till I get roughly a circumference that I'm looking for. And then I use these, this is a tool that I use. I use planes, and I use...
What is that tool called?
This is a Shinto, and it's basically a saw plane. And then I use regular block planes, such as this.
Okay.
And I've got a smaller one. This instrument right here is called a spoke shave. And I'll use that too. Once I get close to my finished size, I'll use this to really kind of narrow it in down to the diameter I want.
Can you tell us
up,
about, okay, go ahead.
It'll end up looking pretty much like this once you get the circumference.
Okay.
What you're wanting to do is get this wall thickness to try to be consistent from all the way through the length of the sound chamber. Mm-hmm. And because thickness, if it varies too much, will change the pitch and the diameter of the holes when you put those in. And your question?
Well, tell us what each of the woods are.
Okay. Basically, these are just representations of stages, but this particular wood right here is African zebra wood. This right here is western cedar.
Okay.
This is African padauk. It's a hardwood. It's harder than cedar, about as hard as maple, not quite as hard as maple.
Okay.
It's got interlocking grains, so it's tough to carve. This is curly maple. You can see the swirls.
Okay. And now you talked earlier about the length and the size and the sound?
Yeah, the longer the flute, the deeper the key,
okay.
The lower the tone.
Okay.
And the shorter, of course, the reverse, the higher it would be. And placement of the holes is, different makers have different methods of using and placing the holes. Each have their own little distinct tricks or ideas about how to do such. Okay. You get a hole in the wrong place and you end up with a piece of firewood. So it's important. And when you're tuning them, the hole size will determine the hole size, and the thickness of the wall of the top of the flute will determine the pitch, the note that you're looking for. And using files and hand drills, I'll open those up or And sometimes I even have to put like some super glue back into them to just close them up just a little bit if I go too far.
Okay.
But that's basically it. And there's a couple tools I still need to bring over, but that's it pretty much.
Can you talk to us about your wind chimes?
Okay, these wind chimes, are basically in the Corinthian style, and they're both in the key of D minor. They're one silver, one black, well, silver gray. They're powder coated material, so it's long endurance, long lasting. The wood parts are oak and red oak, and the sails are made out of a corrugated plastic, and they're very strong, lightweight, and durable. And I've got these two designed to produce a sound in breezes 8 to 10 mile an hour, of course, and above that. So even on a relatively calm day, they'll still initiate. And
Can you make them sound for us?
they're tuned to a pentatonic scale, D minor, mode 1. Basically like it's my 6-hole flutes. These are tuned basically the same way.